Hello. Let's relax, immerse yourself in emotional stories, and explore the world of learning English through stories. Don't forget to press the sign up button and sound the alarm. Don't miss any new stories.
Please put the can of oil in my joint. He said they were so rusty that I couldn't move. Check it out and I'll be fine. The can is on the shelf in my tent. Dorothy immediately ran the tent cover and found the oil can. Then she came back wondering. Where's your joint? First, please look at my neck, replied the woodsman. So the rich guy goes in there. And because it's rusty, so the scarecrow has to keep his head slight swivel from side to side. It's time for tea, are you? Then the kawaii guy could turn himself. Now oil the joints. Give me your hand, he said. Dorothy oiled bottles and scarecrows carefully rotate them until it's all clean and again as good as new. The worker sighed with satisfaction, heard the axe that led the eye down the tree. It was so easy, he said. I've been holding this EX up since it leaked. It's nice to finally bring it down. And I'd like you to oil my leg joints. I'll be as good as ever. And so they put oil on their feet until the guy moves comfortably. They kept thanking them for their release, because that seems to be one very polite and grateful person. I can stand up forever if you don't come. The guy said, It was you who saved my life. Why are people here? We're on our way to the Emerald City. To meet the great ox, she replied, because we stopped for the night in your tent. Why do you want to see Ox? He asked. Please take me back to Kanj. And the scarecrow wants you to put a brain in his head, she replied. For a moment, the woodsman's mind was wandering. Then he asked, Do you think that Ox can give me a heart? Why not, Dorothy answer. It's as easy as giving a scarecrow a brain. That's right, the woodsman replied. If you agree, I look forward to accompanying you to the Emerald City. Please ask for help. Then let's go, replied the puppet enthusiastically. And Dorothy has more. I would be happy if he joined us. So the woodsman put his axe on his shoulder, and we walked through the forest together, back to the yellow leaf path. Forest Ranger Dorothy, put the can of oil in your basket. So if I ever see rain and rust again, I'm going to need it. He said, Having a partner is luck. Because as soon as we start our journey, they came to a tree so thick they couldn't walk through. But the woodcutter, with the axe in his hand, was at work, laughing to the point of glaring. A path has been cleared for all of us. While they go, Dorothy was so busy thinking that she didn't realize. The scarecrow stomped a hole in the graveyard. He had to call you to help him stand up again. Why don't you go around that hole? The woodsman asked. I didn't know, that scarecrow replied. My head is stuffed with straw, you see. And that's why I had to go to Ox. Please give me some wisdom, oh, I understand. The woodman said, But in the end, wisdom is not the best thing in the world. Do you have it? Asked the scarecrow. No, my head is completely empty. The woodman replied, But I used to have a mind and a heart. So I know both. I want more heart. Why did the scarecrow ask him? Let me tell you this, and you will understand. And so, as they walk through the forest, the woodcutter tells the following story. I was born the son of a woodsman. who specialized in growing trees in the forest and selling wood for a living. When I grew up, I was a woodsman, and after my father died, I took care of my old mother when she was alive. Then I decided that, instead of living alone, I will marry so that I am no longer alone. There's a beautiful Måneskin girl. I love you with all my heart. As for you, you promised you'd marry me. As soon as I make enough money, build you a more beautiful home. So I'm working harder than ever. But the girl lives with an old lady. That person doesn't want you to marry, because she's so lazy. I just want you to stay with me and do all the housework and cooking. So the old woman went to the evil witch of the east. He promised to give to sheep a cow if she stops the marriage. The evil witch enchanted my axe. On a day when I was hard at cutting wood, I want a new house and a new wife as soon as possible. The axe suddenly slipped, cutting off my left leg. This was a great misfortune at first, because I understand that a one-legged person can't be good at wood. So I went to the mason. Tell him to make me a new leg. The leg was very harmonious as I got used to it. But my actions made the evil witch angry, because she promised the old lady that I'm not going to get your beautiful skin. When I started going back to cutting down trees, once again, my axe slid off my right leg. I went to the church again. I told you to give me a broken leg. Then the axe cut my hand. One hand to the other. But without discouragement, I replaced them with gear. The evil witch then let the axe out. Cut off my head. I told myself to kill myself this time. That's it. But at that time, I happened to pass by. And you gave me a new head. I think that's how I defeated the evil witch. And I am working even harder than before. But I didn't expect my enemies to be so cruel. She thought of a new way to kill my love for the beautiful Måneskin girl. She made my axe go off, cut my whole body into two pieces. Once again, the designer came to help. You made me a body of glass, tighten hands and feet, my head into that body with joints, so I can move as easily as I used to. But my God, I have no heart now. So I lost my love for the Måneskin girl. I don't care if I marry you or not. I think you're still living with the old lady, waiting for me to come to you. My body glowed under the sun. Makes me very proud of it. And it doesn't bother me if the axe comes out now, because it can't cut me off. What I'm most afraid of is rusted joints. But I kept a can of oil in the tent, and carefully check for yourself whenever necessary. But one day I forgot the oil bottle, and then there's a rain. Before remembering the rusting hazard of the joints, I had to stand in the forest until the day you come to help. It's horrible to go through this, but in the year to stand here, I've had time to understand that my biggest loss is my heart. While in love, I'm the happiest person in the world. But no way I can love without Tim. So I decided to go see the witch ox to ask for a heart. If I can, I'll go back to the Måneskin girl and marry you as a wife. Both Dorothy and Scarecrow, they were very interested in the story of the forest. Now they understand, why does he want such a heart? There's nothing else. The Scarecrow said I'll let them ask the brain to replace the cover of the heart. because a fool with a heart wouldn't know what to do with it. I'll take the heart, the woodsman replied, because wisdom doesn't make us happy. Happiness is the best thing in the world. Luffy didn't say anything. You're confused about which of the two is right. And she decided that, if she gets back Consus with sisters, even if the woodsman doesn't have a brain, or a scarecrow without a heart, it doesn't matter. Because everyone gets what they want. What you're most worried about is that the bread is running out, and after one more meal for you and Bowl, the basket will be empty. No, it's clear that neither the woodsman nor the scarecrow ate anything. But you are not made of chicken tin. You can't live without eating. Lion Draft. All this time Dorothy and your companions through the jungle. Yellow brick road. But covered in dry branches, leaves fall from the trees. It's not easy to get through. The forest is empty of birds. Because birds only like open spaces, filled with the sun. There was a snarling sound every now and then, the darkness of the animals behind the bushes. The sound made the little girl's heart beat. Because you don't know where they're coming from. But I know. So he walked right up to the Dorothy and couldn't cough, he barked back. How long until we're out of the woods? She asked the woodcutter. I don't know. And he said, I've never been to the Emerald City. But when I was a kid, my father went there once. And he said it was a long journey. Through a dangerous land. Even closer to the city of Ox. The view is beautiful. But I'm not afraid, as long as there's oil on the side and nothing can hurt. You're a scarecrow and you're wearing it on your forehead, a sign of the good witch's kiss. That will protect you. But she's worried about what will protect her. We have to protect it when it's in danger. The forest man replied. Just then, from the forest came a terrible roar. And then, immediately, a big lion stormed the streets. With a fake blow, it makes the scarecrow drift to the edge of the road. Then he reached out his sharp claws to the woodcutter. But the lion was surprised. When you see it, it doesn't make an impression on your face. Even though the woodsman Ki rolled out motionless, the little boy now faced an enemy. He came to bark at the lion, and the great beast opened his mouth to bite him. Dorothy was so worried about killing Toto. I forgot about the danger coming. Slapped the lion's nose with all his might, screaming, You dare to bite me? You must be ashamed of yourself. That big thing. And you're going to bite a poor little dog. I didn't bite it, the lion replied. He scratched the nose that had just been hit by a pair of tilapia. But that's what it was meant to be. You are a coward. You are a coward. I know the lion says it's a shame. I always knew that, but how? I don't know exactly. Just think about you. But they're attacking a fast straw stuffing guy, sad to look pathetic. He's stuffed with Iseo straw. The lion was surprised to see her look up. Put me right back. And seduce Ku back to his old form. Stuffed straw, of course, replied Dorothy, still angry. That's why he's easy to fall for. The lion commented. I was surprised to see him roll out like that. And Ki is also stuffed Iseo. No, he's poor. And she helped the woodsman stand up. I don't blame you for almost doing the same thing. The lion said when he touched me. I felt a chill in my back. What is your favorite little animal? That's my dog. Dorothy said it's made of tin or straw. The lion asked, "It's not a dog in the flesh." She replied, "I noticed that I saw a strange animal. It's pretty small. No one can think of biting such a small animal, except for a coward like me." The lion continued to be sad. "What makes you so cowardly?" Dorothy asked in surprise to look at the big animal. "It's as big as a small horse." "It's a mystery," the lion replied. "I guess I've been since I was born." Normally, all the animals in the forest thought I was brave, and everywhere the lion is said to be the king of the forest. I notice every time I roar, then they're all terrified to stay away. I'm scared of going crazy when I meet everyone, but as long as I roar, is that he ran away with 3 legs and for legs. If the tigers and bears ever try to play me again, I'll run away too. I'm such a coward. But just heard me roar. They're all flying away. And of course I let them run. Why is there such a strange thing? The forest lord cannot be a coward. You look at me and tell me. The lion answered with the tip of the tail, wiping his tears. That's my biggest pain. I can't make my life happy. But then whenever we're in danger, my heart is pounding again. Maybe you have heart disease, said the woodsman. Perhaps, the lion replied. If you have that disease, you should be glad. The forest continues. Because that proves you have Tim. Like me, I don't have a heart, so I can't have heart disease. Maybe lions are easy to think about. If it wasn't for Tim, I wouldn't be shy. Do you have a brain? The scarecrow asked, I guess. I've never seen it. The lion replied, I'm coming for the great ox witch. Please have a little brain. The scarecrow says because my head is stuffed with straw. And I'm here to ask you for a woodcutter's heart. Please give me the cover. Left cover sack. Dorothy added. Do you think Mr. Ox will give me courage? The lion asked. It's as simple as give me a brain. The scarecrow replied, give me a heart. The woodsman replied. Or take me back to Canch, Norrisy replied. Well, if you don't mind. I'm going with you. The lion says because I can't stand this life. Without courage. Very willing. Dorothy said you'd help us drive out the animals. I feel like they're more shy than you. If they scare you so easily. It really is, the lion said, but that didn't make me any braver. As long as you feel cowardly, I can't relax. That's it again. Our little group of friends are on their way, with the lion walking past beside the Dorothy. Of course, I do not accept this new companion, because it can't forget, almost crushed Oyaseo under the lion's giant teeth. But after a while, it got more comfortable, and soon he and the cowardly lion became good friends. Until the end of that day, no event will ruin their smooth journey. Only once, the woodsman stepped on the cockroach crawling on the road, killed the poor little animal. That made the woodsman unspeakable. And I've always been careful, so as not to hurt any creature. And so just walked away. I've shed tears of sorrow and regret. The drops slowly trickle down the face, on the joints in the jaws that make them rust. Black-Sow Dorothy asked the woodsman a question. He can't open his mouth, because the jaws have hardened. I am horrified, and do enough moves to free the Jurassic. But you don't understand. The lion couldn't understand what was going on. But then the Scarecrow, he took the oil soup from Jurassic Eye's basket, checked the jaws for the woodsman. A few seconds later, you're talking like you used to. Give me a lesson, he said. That look and then walk. Because if you kill a cockroach worm, I'm sure I'll cry and cry again. Will leak my jaw and I won't be able to speak. And then you walk very cautiously, eyes down the road, and when you see a little ant working, I walked around so I wouldn't hurt it. The woodsman knew he didn't have Tim. So be very careful, not to be cruel or cruel to anyone. People with Tim, you say, they have something to guide them and never do anything bad. But I don't, so I have to be very careful. Arx gave me a heart. Of course, I won't have to worry too much anymore. Journey to the Great Ox Witch. That night, they were forced to think about the outdoors, under a big tree in the forest, because there's no house nearby. The tree made a bamboo canopy. Season prevents them from frost. The woodsman picked up a large wooden axe, and Dorothy is on a bright fire to heat and ease the loneliness. I ate the last cake together, and now you don't know what to have for breakfast. If you want, the lion said I'd go into the forest and kill a deer for you. If you want something ripe, you can bake it. That's a good breakfast. Please don't. The woodsman urgently needed. I'll cry right away if you kill a poor deer, and my jaw will rust. But the lion went to the forest to get his dinner. No one knew what it was because he didn't touch it. A scarecrow finds a tree bursting with nuts and filled a fruit basket for Orochi. So you won't be hungry for a long time. She thinks scarecrows are kind and thoughtful, but she kept laughing at the way the poor guy. Collect nuts. The nuts are tiny, and your padded arms are clumsy. So that where you put it in the basket is the same as where you dropped it. But the scarecrow doesn't care how long it's going to take, because in doing so, you stay out of the flames. If any spot splashes in the straw around, it is called life. Keep a safe distance from the fire, and just come close to cover dry leaves for Ronaldy. When you lie down, dry leaves make you feel warm, pleasant and intoxicating sleep until morning. When you have dawned, she washes her face under the gurgling stream, and soon after, they set off for the Emerald City. It was a day full of events, with my companions. It's been about an hour. They saw in front of a big man, long rich eyes, cut the road and split the forest in two. It's a very wide leg. And when you crawl to the edge, you look down, they find it deep, with many jagged rocks at the bottom. The edges are so steep that no one can watch Leo down, and look fleeting. It seems that their journey, it will have to end here. What are we to do now? Dorothy desperately asked. I don't have the slightest idea. Rabbit set landing. The lion swayed its ruffled mane thinking. And then the scarecrow spoke. We can't fly through that for sure. We can't climb down this giant ladder. So if you can't jump over, then we have to stop here. I think I can jump. The cowardly lion spoke, after carefully measuring the distance in your head. Then it's okay, said the scarecrow. You can carry people on your back. One person at a time. Okay, I'll see if the lion says Ea was the first. I scarecrow claimed. Because if you can't get through this, Dorothy will lose his life, or the woodcutter will be severely chipped, with the rocks under KIA. But I don't know. I don't hurt if I fall. The scarecrow sitting on the lion's back, and then the big animal next to the edge snatched up. Why don't you take the momentum and jump? The scarecrow asked because that's not how they were the lions. We still do, he replied. Then the cowardly lion galloped high, retreated through the air and landed safely on the KIA shore. Everyone gets excited when things go well. And after the scarecrow leaves your back, the lion jumps back to the back. Dorothy thought it was her turn. She held the bow in her hands and climbed on the lion's back. One hand holds his mane tightly. A moment later, you feel like you're soaring through the air. Before I have time to think about anything, you're safe on the other side. The lion returned for the third time to meet the woodsman. Then we all sat down for a while. Let the animal rest. The jumps made him gasp. Like a big dog, just had to run too long. They saw the forest on the side. This is so dark. When the lion is done thinking, they started walking on the yellow brick road, quietly wondering. Everyone has a mind. Will they ever get through the forest and see the sun again? Into that insecurity, they hear strange noises again. Recall from the deep forest. And the lion whispered to everyone, this area is the home of the Kalidas. Who are the Kalidas? She asked. They're monsters. I am like a bear, but my head is like a tiger. The lion answered and stroked them with iron shoes, that it could easily tear me in two. Like I did with my car. I'm scared of Canadians. You're terrified of them, Dorothy replied. They must be terrible animals. The lion was going to answer. Then suddenly they come to another abyss. Cross the road. But this is so wide and so deep. The lion immediately understood that he could not jump over. So they sat down to figure out what to do. And after a moment of serious thought, the scarecrow said, there's a big tree growing on the edge of the pharmacy. If the woodsman could bring it down, let it pair horizontally. On the other side, we can easily cross. Here, it's a great idea. The lion said, you'd think you had a real brain in your head. It's not straw. The forest should immediately start working. Your axe is so sharp. One of the trees is almost broken. So the lion puts its front legs on the tree. Take your best shot and push. The fruit slowly tilted down and tumbled through its jerky mouth. The highest branches were on the other side. And when they start walking on this strange bridge, there was a ferocious roar. They all looked back and were horrified. Rushing towards them were two big animals with tiger heads. It's the Canadians. The Cowardly Lion screamed and began to shiver.
Come on, look and shout across the shore.
So Dorothy stepped in front of me. The forest is followed by the Scarecrow. The lion must have been scared.
But you still came back to face the Kalidas. And there's a terrible noise.
So much so that Dorothy had to shout, and the Scarecrow's upside down. Get in the back. And the ferocious animals suddenly stopped to look. You are stunned.
But then I saw that. I am bigger than a lion. And remember, I have 2 opponents, only 1.
They're starting to come back. The lion rushed over the tree and turn around and see what they're going to do next.
1 second hesitate, animals also rushed through the tree.
The lion said Dorothy.
It's broken. They will tear me to pieces with their sharp eyes. Stay in the back. If I am alive, I will fight them.
Wait, the Scarecrow called out.
I've thought about what to do.
And his wife told the woodsman to fly first. The tree is on their side. Woodsman set immediately X-worms. And just as the Kalidas were about to cross the bridge, the falling tree crashed down.
Bring the evil animals roaring.
Both of them disintegrated on the sharp rocks at the bottom of the abyss. That's great, said the Cowardly Lion, taking a deep breath of relief. I see that we've got a little bit more to live for. And I'm glad I'm not alive.
It must be unpleasant. They're so terrifying to me that Tim's still pounding.
The woodsman replied to the sad man.
I wish I had a heart to beat.
This event
Make your companions even more eager to get out of the forest, so they go so fast that Dorothy gets tired.
to ride on the back of a lion.
They were delighted to see that the trees grew thinner as they went.
That afternoon they came to a great river. Running water. Over the river, the yellow brick road.
Running through a beautiful country with green pastures. Brilliant crossing point.
On both sides of the road are rows of delicious fruit trees.
They're so excited.
In front of the beautiful countryside that looms before you. How do I cross this river?
Asked Dorothy.
Easy, the Scarecrow replied. The woodsman will make a raft.
And we'll cross the river.
So the woodsman picked up the axe, a small tree to make a raft. While the guy's busy doing it, Scarecrow found near the river a tree full of delicious fruit. This makes Dorothy happy.
Because you can't move anything but nuts all day.
She drank a full meal of ripe fruit.
But rafting takes time. Even when you're as hard as a concubine.
So the night falls.
The work is still unfinished. So we're all looking for a warm place under the trees. A deep sleep until morning.
And Dorothy, be Emir of the Emerald City 6, said, "The witch ox. Good people will take you back home."
Dead Poppet.
The next morning, the little caravan awoke from the wake and filled with hope.
Dorothy breakfast as a princess by Peach Plum.
On the river's bank behind us is a dark forest.
They got through it safely. But they also suffer from horrors.
In front of them is a lovely country full of sunshine. It seems that the signal is close to the Emerald City. The big river is clearly separating them.
Beautiful land share.
But the raft's almost done.
After the woodsman added a few more trees.
And take the wooden pegs and squeeze them in. Then they're ready to go. Dorothy sat down in the middle of the raft. When the cowardly lion steps up, the raft tilted violently because he was so big and heavy. But the Scarecrow and the Tinker stood over there.
To keep balance. Because they're holding these tough SAO trees and pushing them through the water. At first, they worked very well together.
But in the middle of the river, the current of water swept the raft down.
Every time away from the yellow brick road,
the river becomes steep,
that the long poles couldn't reach the bottom.
Not good, the woodsman said.
Because if you can't get to the shore,
we'll be swept away to the land of evil witches. She'll cast a spell to make us slaves.
And then I wouldn't have a brain. The Scarecrow says I won't be brave.
The Cowardly Lion said, I will not have a heart. The Woodman said,
and I'll never go back to the concert, Dorothy said. We must go to the Emerald City.
Protect by.
Scarecrow continues. Then you push your pole. So much so that it's stuck in the mud at the bottom of the river. I can't get out or let go now.
The raft was left behind by the tape.
Poor Scarecrow grabs the pole in the middle of the line.
Goodbye, you call the world according to them. And they'd be very upset to leave you like that. So much so that the woodsman began to cry.
But then I remembered I could leak. So I wiped tears from Ronnie's apron.
Of course, this is sad for the Scarecrow.
Now, my situation is worse than before I met Dorothy.
I think. Hanging on a pole in the middle of a cornfield. Whatever it is, it's a crow. And now the Scarecrow's got to be in the middle of the river.
It doesn't count anything.
I'm afraid I'll never have wisdom in the end. The raft floated down the river.
Poor Scarecrow has been left so far behind.
Then the lion said, what do we have to do to save ourselves? I think I can swim to the shore and pull the raft follow. Just grab the tip of my tail.
So you jump in the water. Bunny designs tighten his tail.
And the lion began to use all his strength to swim to the shore.
It's hard, no matter how strong the lion is. But eventually, people are pulled out of the water. Squeeze.
And then Dorothy grabbed the woodsman's long pole. Help push the raft to shore.
When we finally reach the river, they're tired walking on the beautiful green grass. Everyone understands.
The river had swept them away from the yellow brick road,
leading to the Emerald City 6. Tell, what do we do now?
The forest church asked, while the lion is laying on the grass.
My hips under the sun. Somehow we have to get back on the road. Dorothy said it's best to walk along the river.
Until we meet the road again, the lion commented.
When rest is enough. Dorothy picked up her basket and started walking along the grassy river bank, back to the yellow brick road.
It's a lovely land, filled with sweet flowers in the sun.
Make their hearts throb. And if nothing still pitied the poor Scarecrow, then they felt completely happy.
They walked quickly together.
And Dorothy only stopped once, to pick beautiful flowers.
After a while, the woodsman cried out, look! All look out at the river and see the Scarecrow floating on the pole.
Between the water.
Looks so lonely and sad. What are we going to do to save him? Dorothy asked.
Both the lion and the woodsman shook their heads because they didn't know.
That is,
people sitting down by the river staring at the Scarecrow.
Until a stork flies by and sees. landed on the water's edge.
Who are you and where are you going?
Stork asked me was Dorothy, she replied, and my friends. Woodsman said Cowardly Lion.
We went to the Emerald City. Then it's not this way.
The Stork said, gnawing at the long neck and peering at the strange group.
I know, Dorothy.
But we lost the Scarecrow. And now I don't know how to save him. Where is he? Asked her across the river, she replied. If he's not heavy, I'll get you to the shore. The Stork said he wasn't heavy, exclaimed Dorothy eagerly.
Because he's a straw man.
And if you can bring him in, we will be very grateful. Okay, I'll try it, said the Stork, but if he's too heavy,
I'll leave it in the middle of the river.
And then the big bird flew over the water
to where there's a scarecrow hanging on a pole.
The Stork grabs the Scarecrow with its big claws, lifted back up to the river, where Dorothy the lion worshipped and Bowles were sitting.
Be back with you. The Scarecrow was so happy that he hugged us all tightly, both Lion and Bowl.
And as they walked, he kept shouting,
1, 2, 2, 1, 2.
I was afraid I'd stay forever in the middle of the river, he said. But the good Stork saved me. When I get wise, I'll find you in return. Nothing, the Stork said while flying next to them. I've always wanted to help people in distress, but now I have to go.
They're waiting for me in the nest.
I hope you find the city. NGOC Street 6 said, and please help Ox. Thank you, Dorothy.
That's a nice little stork flying into the air,
Quickly out of sight.
They just left, just listening to the singing of the colorful birds. And look at the lovely flowers. Has become so dense that
The ground is covered with carpet. There are big yellow, white, blue, and purple flowers, interspersed with large clusters of bright red onions. The color was so bright that it dazzled Dorothy. They're beautiful, aren't they? She just asked, just inhaling the pungent smell of the brilliant flower. Maybe the Scarecrow said,
when I have brains, maybe I'll like them better. I'm sure I'll love them if they have Tim. Don't add it.
I always like flowers. The lion said they seemed fragile and weak.
Something. There's no flower in the forest that's as vibrant as this. It's time they met more and more red poppies. And fewer other species of flowers. Not long after,
They found themselves in the middle of a vast field of poppies.
who also knows that when there are too many flowers, then their fragrance will be intense, so much so that the inhaler would be immediately stupid, and if not carried away from the smell, he'll sleep like that forever. But Dorothy doesn't know this. You can't avoid it.
The red flowers are filling the place. And soon her eyes widened, and she felt like sitting down to rest and sleep. I'd rather not let you do that. We've got to get back to the yellow brick road,
Before it gets dark.
the guy said.
Old Scarecrow also agrees.
So they kept going, until Rosie couldn't stand it. Her eyes no longer knew where she was.
She fell into the poppy field and fell asleep.
What do we do now? The woodsman asked.
If we leave her, she'll die.
The lion said, the smell of this flower will kill us all. I can only keep my eyes closed. The dog is asleep. She was sleeping next to the little girl,
Only scarecrows and woodsmen, who are not of flesh and blood.
It's not hurt. He said, "Get out of the carpet."
Kill this person as quickly as possible. We'll bring her out.
But if you sleep, you're too big to carry. So the mad lion rushed forward. In the moment, he was lost. We held hands and made chairs to carry her.
Scarecrow says.
So they pick up the bowl and put it in the Dorothy.
Then the hand made the chair.
Arm made into a chair. They carried the sleeping girl through the flower field. They keep going.
Surround them. The deadly flower carpet seems to last endlessly.
They carry around the bend of the river, and finally caught the lion, also sleeping in the poppy field.
This flower is too strong for a big animal. You finally gave up and fell, when there's only a short distance from the end,
where the sweet grasses spread out in the green fields,
beautiful in front of them. There's nothing we can do to help him,
the woodcutter said sadly, because you're too heavy to carry.
We've got to let the lion sleep here forever.
Maybe you're in the rain now and you've found your courage. Sorry, the scarecrow said. The lion is a very good table compared to a coward like that.
But let's move on. They took the sleeping girl to a pleasant place,
by the river far enough from the wings,
copper poppy, so that you don't add to their poisonous smell. There they gently placed her on the soft grass, waiting for the cool breeze to wake her up. Hamster Queen. Maybe we're not that far from the yellow brick road now.
He looked at her as he stood next to her.
We've come close to being swept away by the current.
The woodsman decided to respond. Then I heard a soft growl.
And turn your head.
Very smoothly tear you on the joints. I saw a strange animal. Is leaping on the grass towards them.
It's actually a big yellow wildcat.
And he thinks he's chasing something.
Because his ears dropped.
The mouth is wide enough to reveal two ugly teeth,
while her red eyes lit up like two flashes of fire. When it comes close to you, the farmer ran in front of the animal, a little grey hamster.
Even without Tim.
But I also know that wildcats are terrible. Trying to kill a little creature. It's so harmless.
So you raise your axe.
And when the wildcat runs by, I threw out a book quickly, cut off the animal's head from its body, make it roll into pieces under your feet.
The hamster escaped.
Suddenly stop walking and slowly come to the side.
The woodsman raised his voice.
Oh, thank you, Golden King.
Thank you for saving my life. Don't mention it, please. The woodsman replied.
I don't have a heart, you see.
So,
I want to help all those AIs who need a friend, even if it's just a mouse. A mouse, a little animal that screams with indignation.
Oh my God, I'm the queen of hamsters. The woodsman said his last greeting.
So I did something big and brave. Is to save my life.
The queen continued. At the right time, a couple of mice rolling tiny legs. The fire ran out, and when they saw the queen, they screamed. Oh, your majesty, I thought you were killed. How did you escape? That big wild cat. And they bowed to the little queen. He was so low that he almost stood on his head.
This funny sleeping guy, the mouse lady who killed the wild cat, saved my life.
So from now on,
you all must serve him. from the smallest wishes. Please give your destiny.
All the rats are screaming like a pack.
Luminous Sea Copper.
Goodbye. See you next time. Wishing you a day full of health and success.